Good morning. How are you today? I hope you're all here with me today. I'm checking to see if I can see you online. But here we are today. This is the Making Healthier Policies Facebook group. And you are here or should be here if you are a policymaker or an advocate. This group is for you. And today we've got a really exciting topic. We're going to be talking about champions and how to find them and how to even make them to be able to help you with your policy journey. So first of all, if you are here, if you can see me, please put in the chat that you're here. Your favorite emoji, your favorite good morning, whatever it looks like, please put it here in the chat so I can know you're here. I'm going to look real quick. Oh, Tanya is here. Yay, this means this is working. I'm so excited. Today we're going to try to do a screen share in Zoom and all the technology not fall apart. So let's see what happens because we're going to give it a go. But today we're talking about champions. What in the world is a champion? I'm not talking about basketball, football stars, not like that. But a champion in our space is a person who fights for what you believe in and that argues on your behalf. That's a champion. And those are the kind of champions we're talking about today. And I'm going to give you a tool to help you find a champion for your own policy issues that you care about so much. And so we're going to talk about what that tool is, and I'm going to show you exactly how to use it in just a second. So when we're talking about champions, let's think about this. So when I ran for office, I was in the legislature. I was a non-policy educated person, right? I was not a lobbyist. I did not go to law school. Heck, I did as little government as possible to get out of school. I knew nothing about that. But I had a lot to learn if I was going to learn to be effective in the legislature, right? Coming from no background in politics to being elected, there's a steep learning curve. You have to learn a lot of things. So I figured out pretty quick who I could trust so that I could learn who to model after, who to follow, who to emulate. And then, well, I'm not sure. Maybe it was easier to figure out who not to trust, right? That list actually was longer, but it didn't matter. I figured out who could show me the ropes, right? And we talked about being teachable and able to learn, and that's how I got on the journey. And so the first day I got in the state house, I figured out I was an expert in children's mental health. I was the only one in my caucus who knew anything about that topic. Day one, everybody says, oh, good, you can help me with constituent work about mental health. I didn't know anything, but I was the expert in air quotes, day one, because that was my background, right? And so I figured out real quick that, oh no, what was I going to do? So I needed to help those people, but I used that to create relationships with other people who were super knowledgeable in their areas of expertise. So I made friends with farmers who understood about the weight of trucks driving on our roads during harvest and about how high you could pile poo so it wouldn't run off in our rivers and all the other crazy topics that we talked about in the State House that I know nothing about. I had to figure out who to trust. And so we became champions for each other working together. And that's what we're talking about today. But when I got to the State House, I had always kind of wondered, did legislators actually know what I did in my job? Because a lot of times some of the laws that were made seemed like good ideas in theory, but they didn't work on the ground. In fact, there were times I thought, man, they're making decisions that just make my life harder. Are they doing this on purpose? The answer is no. They thought they were being helpful, but because they didn't have somebody who would come and explain to them how it worked on the outside and what the repercussions of some decisions were, sometimes bad things were done and that ultimately harmed people. The goal of all policymakers is to do no harm, but sometimes in that quest for trying to make things better, things go wrong. So policymakers at all levels of government need people like you and me to help educate them and to become that trusted confidant that they can talk to about issues. You want to be the go-to in your area of expertise for people in power. So if you're in HR, like Tanya and Deb, you want to be the person they reach out to ask questions. If you're into fisheries, like Jamie, you want to be the person they come out and reach out to for issues. If you're Nicole and you're talking about women's health, especially rural women's health, reproductive health, You want to be the person they reach out to when they have questions. So you've got to build these relationships with these key people so that you can be the person to help them make the best decisions they know how. And you might be thinking, well, how in the world do you do that? Well, this is where we can come in with making contacts for people making decisions and creating those relationships. And so the tool we're going to talk about today is actually all about this. The tool we're talking about today is a top 10 list. It's really easy. I'm going to drop it in the chat for you. Let's see if this works. Oh, no, boy, it did not work. I'll drop it in the chat for you at the end. Right now, I'm just going to show it to you because for some reason, it doesn't want to show you right now. So let me share my screen. We can't do everything right the first day, right? Hopefully somebody in the chat tell me you can see the top 10 list. Please, oh please, let me know that that works. So if that works for you, you should be seeing a top 10 list online, and I'm going to work as if you can. The top 10 list right here, we're going to work with it. And it looks like this. This is based on some principles from Chris Winfield and Jen Gottlieb, and they use it for a connector idea for media. But we've adapted it to use it for our purposes here in policy, because I don't know if anybody else in the world has adapted it for policy. I haven't found anything else out there like it, so we made it work for us. So here's what you're going to do, and I want you to put your thinking caps on because we're going to talk about this morning. So you're going to be thinking of your top 10 people that you know that care about the issue that you're talking about. So if you're Jamie, top 10 people in fisheries that you know. Now, I wouldn't recommend you talk and just list the people that you talk to all the time. I mean, maybe you can if you haven't really worked with them on this issue, then maybe you should think about, okay, they'll be on the list, but people that you think care about the topic you care about. So if it's fisheries or women's health or HR, whatever those topics are, we're coming up with 10. So here's what we're going to do. The names just go in the first column, doesn't matter. Column 2, we're going to decide how influential you think the people are. You're just going to guess. And by influence, think about who has power, connections, a network, people that can help you move ahead on your topic. So they could be, if you're thinking highly influential, maybe they're an elected official, or maybe they're head of an association, or maybe they're a head of a government entity that actually does certifications or oversight of your industry or whatever, just the people that you know. Now, you're maybe thinking, how is this going to help? All right, so think back to the 80s and the 90s. We always talked about the 6 degrees of separation of Kevin Bacon. Everybody knows Kevin Bacon from the Footloose shows back in the 80s, right? And back then, the theory was that you were within 6 people of getting to Kevin Bacon. There's games, we've done this for years, right? But online now, you're only 2 to 3 connections away from anybody you need to get you where you need to go. 2 to 3. You may not know the person, but if you know a person who knows a person, you're connected. And online, you can be connected to anybody in a minute and a half. And so these influential people are there for your connection, and they need people like you to help them. So here we go, back to our list. We're going to make who in the column is influential. Then the second column, who is going to be more likely to help you or want to help you, right? The Pope, super influential in his area, but I don't know the Pope. He's probably not doing something for me, right? So the Pope might not be real high in that column. But my mom, holy cow, my mom will do anything for me, right? So she's a 10 all day in that column. So here's what you got. You got your people. What level of influence, low to high, 1 to 10. 1 to 10 on how likely they are to help you. And then you're going to add it up. That's it. The goal at the end of this exercise is for you to actually try to have coffee with one of these people and try to have a conversation about what you care about so that you can start making progress toward your message moving forward. Now, you may be saying, let's see how this actually works. I'm so confused. I can hear Tanya right now. I'm confused. Thanks, Tanya. I know you're confused. Let me help you out. I made an example, and I made an example out of bike paths. My husband is a big biker. He loves to ride bikes, not like Harley Davidson bikes. No. He likes to bike across our entire state in a place called Ragbri every year, 400 to 500 miles within a week, and he thinks that's fun. I get a week off at home, sometimes on the beach during that week, but he bikes across our state every year with a whole lot of other people who think it's fun. So he really likes bike paths and bike trails, real important to him. So he's on my list, number 1, about bikes, right? Column number 2, that's where he's supposed to be influential. Now, he's not super influential in this space. He's an engineer. He rides his bike, loves riding his bike, has a fun time riding his bike, but he doesn't really hang out in bike groups or clubs, or definitely doesn't talk to the legislature. Oh my gosh, he hated it when we had to go to events when I was in elected office. That is just not his thing. Very introverted, very preferred not to talk to people in power. And so not so much on the influence scale. But column 3, as far as willing to help me, well, heck yeah, he's my husband. He's going to get a 9 or a 10, whether he wants to or not. So he's going to be helpful. So you add that up, he has a 12. Good job, honey. Bob's on a bike team. Bob also not really one that would talk to the public, so not super influential. And in fact, he'd help me, but probably less than my husband. So Bob's only going to rate at about an 8. Well, then there's Janet, the bike coalition leader. So she has like this association that talks in front of the State House, that they call to ask for information, that she's part of the dialogue about making laws and changes in our city, in our county, and at the state level. She's pretty influential. So I give her a 7. And although she's not a personal friend, because this is her passion and she really cares about it and she raises money for it, she actually is a person really high in that level of somebody who'd want to do something to help in this space. Maybe not because they personally owe me, but because she cares about the issue. So Janet gets herself a 15. And then there's Joe. Joe's my legislative friend, super influential. He gets a lot of things done. But when it comes to column 3, he doesn't really care for bike trails and bike paths. He thinks that's a waste of money. The bike should be on the road. They have the same laws and the same rules as everybody else on the highway. So why in the world should we make a bike path right over there when they can drive on the street right here? So Joe, although super influential, doesn't really care about my issue. So he actually is only a 14. When you look this up, the person that I should have coffee with to try to move my message forward is Janet, the bike coalition leader, because Janet has some power. And Janet also wants to help me because she loves this topic. So Janet and I should have coffee to talk about this. All right, so I am going to stop sharing if all goes according to plan. And let's talk about what you just thought in the chat. What did you think? Is this a tool that's useful? Do you think you can see it being helpful? Do you think you're like, what in the world was that? Tell me, what do you think? Useful, not useful? So when you think about this, as you guys are giving me some feedback in the chat, I'm hoping that's still working. When we're doing that, I'm going to tell you about the fact that I'm super excited that some of you have shared this group with others. I want to thank Tanya, and I want to thank Lisa, and I want to thank anybody else that I don't know yet who have shared this group. If you are a person that are an advocate, if you're a person that cares about policy and you know other people like you, we'd love to have them in this group. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you sharing. It's very, very helpful. So through my years at the State House and as a consultant and a lobbyist, I've gotten pretty good at networking and finding people who are much smarter than me to assist me in getting things done. And so some of those things we got done, we passed the mental health redesign in our state. We created a children's mental health system when I was in a different role in the state. And then we've worked on other legislation to help clients improve their own policies and their own systems and their own offices in their own communities and in their own states. So if you need some help in creating your top 10 list or needing help with your messaging, please say help in the comments. I would be honored to be one of the people on your top 10 list to network with you. We can have coffee, we can grab Zoom together. I would love to do that. So if you need a little help, put that in the chat. Let's talk about your issue and brainstorm and see what we can come up with together. Because I want you to find the champions to help you move forward in whatever it is that you care about most in the healthiest way possible. So if you need some help, just let me know. Now I'm going to look at some of the comments here. We see that we have some people that thought this was useful. Thank you. I'm grateful that you thought it was useful. It's a really simple tool. And sometimes we forget the people that are in our space that can help us, right? Sometimes we're just so bogged down in the mess that we're like, oh, I forgot that my Aunt Sally is an elected official. I mean, that happens. And you're like, why haven't I talked to so-and-so about this before? And we just forget because they're in our network. So this one really helps you pinpoint who you should talk to. And again, I apologize. I had the link ready to go. Not totally sure what happened. I will drop it in the comments so that you can have it as soon as this is over. I also just want to say thank you so very much for being here today. I appreciate you. We are going to go back to the regular schedule, which is going to be Mondays at noon for about 15 minutes is where we're going to have our regular weekly training. I will sending out announcements to you. If you would like to get those, make sure I have your email address so we can make sure you get those announcements. We're going to do that each week. This coming Monday is a really exciting topic. We're going to talk about our own personal health care, because this process is a process that takes a while. The mess that has happened in your life policy-wise did not happen overnight. It got here over time. And so getting back out of the mess is going to take a minute, but we have to be healthy as people in that space for the long haul. It's not going to be a quick minute. So how do we stay healthy while we work on really important topics? That is the topic for Monday. So thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate you so much. Have a great day, and we will see you all real soon.